I asked my mother-in-law to help me after birth because my mother is making everything even worse.
Get out of there, Mom.
This is some Dr. Seuss, Who's the Goose? So I want to preface this by saying that my husband is currently deployed and will most likely not be able to come home for the birth of the baby. Knowing this, my husband and I had originally planned for my own mother to fly into town and help me before and after giving birth. Keep in mind, we were going to play for the plane tickets. By the way, this comes from Chronically Anxious, and if you want to submit your own stories, go to the r/OK Storytime subreddit. So for the past few months, I've had this gut feeling that my mom wouldn't be able to help me in the ways that I needed help. So I discussed this with my therapist. There we go. And we decided that I should have a conversation with my mom, letting her know what I might need help with. The following days, I finally gathered up the courage to talk to my mom and let her know how I expect this day to go. I told her I would probably need help with cooking and chores that require bending over in the event I get a C-section. I also told her that during this time, her role is to be my mom and not grandma. So, take care of mom, don't just focus on the baby. She laughed at that comment, and the whole conversation just made me feel uneasy. The feeling was solidified when my sister called me the next day, and she informed me that my mom was complaining about how I had a bunch of rules for when she visits. Then, 3 days later, she calls me. I had an inclination that it was because she was upset with what I was asking for so shortly after I answered the call, and I said, my husband is leaving for deployment tomorrow. We are doing XYZ one last time, to hint at her that now is not a good time to discuss these things. Unfortunately, my mom doesn't exactly care about others' needs or emotions, so she kept pressing. That's a bold statement. She asked me even if I wanted her to visit, and she also made a snide comment about me wanting a live-in maid. Opie says, when I tell you I lost my crap at her saying I want a live-in maid, I am not even kidding. And I'm not proud of this, but I yelled at her and I said, I'm sorry you expected to come here and be catered to, have me cook and clean for you with my vajayjay bleeding and my nips chapped and bleeding while my husband is deployed, that you thought that you would get to play grandma the entire time? Her response was, well, you didn't say you wanted that. So I'm having my mother-in-law come instead of my mother. My mom doesn't know this. I lied by omission when I called her the following week to let her know that she can visit when my husband returns from deployment instead. So she thinks that I'm just going to have some local friends assist me. I told my sister I may have mother-in-law come out instead, and she was skeptical, but mostly because of our own mother's reaction. Like, I am making the wrong choice because if our mom were to find out, it would be immense drama. So am I the a-hole for this? And we've got edits, relevant comments, and a lot of juice left in this story. This is a long one, but let's pause right here.
I think it's the most important thing for OP to be happy, safe, and comfortable.
Correct.
So, I mean, choosing the right person to help you with that, I think is like that's above all else.
Yeah, you're basically prioritizing someone else's feelings, and maybe not the most best placed feelings over your physical health and well-being.
Yeah, exactly.
Which is not great.
Yeah. Your health and well-being comes first, OP.
Do you think OP's the a-hole?
I don't think so.
Not the a-hole, but maybe the best thing to do is to just fully communicate and say, hey, look, we had this conversation. I'm just going to have mother-in-law come over and help.
Yeah,
because now she has
if you're like being so difficult, like why, like, let me just have someone who's going to be easy.
Edit. The only people who know that my mother-in-law is coming to help are my mother-in-law, myself, and my husband. I mentioned the idea of my mother-in-law coming to my sister because for a brief period, my sister was going in my mother's place. However, due to my sister being a labor and delivery nurse in a different state, the likelihood of her being able to be here when I go into labor was slim to none. Dude, that's so tragic when your sister is literally a labor and delivery nurse but can't be at your.
I know.
That would be so
it's like, do your job.
You're fired. I casually mentioned to my sister that my mother-in-law canceled her cruise and will be available when I'm due to feel out her reaction to me no longer needing her help around that time. Anyways, that's why my sister knows that there's a possibility of my mother-in-law coming. I purposely haven't told her my mother-in-law is coming to prevent her from slipping up and telling my mom. I know it's all messy, and it's mostly because everything unfolded so quickly. And we do have some relevant comments as well. Commenter number 1, not the a-hole. You and your sister ought to think about how much worrying about your mom's reaction to things affects your own choices. To which OP replies, that's something I'm working on in therapy. I feel pretty confident in my decision until my sister was like, oh, but it'll be so bad, blah, 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 blah. That's when I started having some mixed feelings about it. Commenter number 2, maybe I'm wrong, but I don't see a problem with asking your mom to be a quote-unquote live-in maid. I did it for my daughter this past summer when she had surgery for some touch-up work after having 4 kids and a hysterectomy.
That's a lot.
That's a lot.
That's a rough combo.
I did whatever she needed and made sure that she had lots of ready-to-bake meals in her freezer for when I left. OP replies to that, the only issue was the context and tone in which she said it. It was super accusatory, and she said I was speaking to her like I was interviewing her for a job, despite me saying I was serious because I was asking for help for something that's just hard for me to do. So OP responds to a comment about being passive-aggressive. OP says, no, the passive-aggressive means that I'm frustrated because I've mentioned countless times that I'm trying to figure out how I want to reframe my relationship with my mother and establish better boundaries for the sake of me and for the sake of my child. Yet you're just incessantly commenting about how I should have done X, Y, and Z while stating that I need to, quote unquote, be an adult when things have already happened and I'm already low contact. That is also new information. Low contact with the mother as of now. So go ahead, spam the comments. I'm not responding anymore. And some additional information from OP after reading comments in the original post. OP says, thanks, everyone. Logically, I know I'm not the a-hole, but I just needed some validation from people not involved to help that sink in. I don't know if that makes sense to y'all or not. I know I still have a lot of growing to do, and I know that I have to work on my boundaries with my mom and my desire to overshare with my sister. I'm not perfect, and I am working on it. Literally, these are my current goals and objectives for therapy. But thank you to anyone who takes the time to read my post and provide their insight. I appreciate it. And we have the big update 6 days later, potentially post-delivery.
Ooh.
Potentially.
Ooh, so we'll get to see how like all of this help played out.
Yeah.
Or lack of help, rather.
Yes. How does the mom, like, the truth is going to get out that the mother-in-law is coming instead of the mom.
Yeah.
And from the context clues we've gathered, it sounds like mom won't like that.
Yep. Doesn't sound like she knows how to take things well and with grace.
After 2 weeks of no contact, I finally spoke with my mom today, and I revealed that I had been distant due to having to process my feelings. I told her that I found it very hurtful that me asking for help was spun into her requiring to be my live-in maid during my postpartum period. I had also explained that I had not been updating her or my dad on the pregnancy due to their lack of interest/support. During this conversation, I learned that when I had first asked for help, she, for some reason, interpreted this as me saying I did not want her to be there. She kept repeating over and over, well, you had made up your mind that you didn't want me there when you were talking to me about the things you needed. So I stopped her and I was like, make this make sense. Why the heck would I have it in my mind that I'm paying for your ticket to come over here, come up with a list of ways that I want/can be helped, work up the courage to have a conversation with you and have that talk? Why would I go through all of that? I'm 26 years old. I have no interest in playing mind games. She didn't have a real response to that other than, okay, mystery solved as to where all of that stemmed from. As a lack of interest/support that quite literally stemmed from their reactions or lack thereof to the news of me being pregnant and any updates regarding the pregnancy, such as the name, gender, appointment updates, etc., any information that was revealed to both my mom or dad, I would get a very mild, cool. When I addressed this today, my mom asked, well, how do you want us to react? I responded with, I shouldn't have to tell my parents how to show interest or excitement over a new grandchild. While it might seem like this conversation didn't go well because there was no real promise of a solution or change, it was extremely healing for me. I preface the talk with, I am not expecting anything to change. I am just letting you know the reasons that I've been distant. I have already thought about this and I've already processed these feelings. I need to put this out there. That way it doesn't build and I don't end up resentful. I like it.
That's clear communication with a boundary, and also it exposes the potential for a relationship in the future too. It's kind of like, it kind of has all of the necessary parts.
It's like I'm giving you
full
the chance.
Context. Yeah.
I'm giving you full context, and also I don't want to build undue resentment and then put that back on you. Like that's unfair to you. So it's like I'm going to say all this. I have no expectations from you, but here it is. Grade A. I like it. I like it, chat. Also, I felt so proud because I was able to have that conversation be very matter-of-fact, focus on actions, not character, and remain calm throughout the whole talk despite jabs and unnecessary remarks. But yeah, thanks for all the people who provided input on my initial post. There's a lot more layers, childhood trauma that feeds into the dynamic that I have with her. So just know that this update and initial post is kind of like a little scratch on the surface. And guys, we are not even halfway done with the story. This is a fatty 4K word.
Wow. Oh, 4K.
Yes, sir.
That is a long story. 4,000 words.
So speaking of which, we've got some relevant comments. Dive right into.
Yeah, let's hit those relevant comments.
So, commenter number 1 says, your mother is spinning things to suit her narrative. It's not logical and not something you should think about. If your mother-in-law can help you, take her help. I'd say your parents aren't ones to rely on in this new chapter of your life. Have they always been like this? Has your mom always spun things to change the narrative? I hope you have a speedy recovery and congrats on becoming a new mom. Opie says, this talk definitely opened my eyes that she creates the narrative to help preserve her ego and play the victim, something I already knew, but this helps solidify it even more. In the past, she would reframe things to make it seem like she was some great mother figure, or she would place herself in an imaginary competition with my own mother-in-law and my sister's mother-in-law, so that's always been a constant. However, this was the first time that she revealed the false narrative that way, and as for my dad, he's quite aloof, for lack of a better word. He tends to follow my mom's lead. And thank you. As I enter the 3rd trimester, it's sinking in more and becoming more and more exciting. So
good.
we haven't popped it out yet, but
we're ready to pop.
We're right there.
Ready to pop.
Just right at the brink. Commenter number 2 says, I know these words are used a lot on Reddit, but your mother sounds manipulative and toxic. Manipulative because she tries to spin it where she's the victim. This behavior has been present since as long as you can remember. It's clear as day from your post, and it's like she's trying to make you feel like you're crazy. Opie responds with, she definitely was trying to make me feel crazy. She also claimed that I was ignoring her and avoiding her for months, which I also had to correct. I had to explain that I started distancing myself mid-September, but I still responded to her and answered her calls. I told her the only reason that I feel like this, that it feels so much worse than what was actually happening was because for once, it was not me doing the heavy lifting of the relationship. In the past, I was the main one constantly reaching out, texting first and calling. And to be frank, within those 2 weeks, she only made 3 attempts to contact me. She called me 2 times. When I couldn't answer those, she finally texted me this past Saturday, and I responded to it saying I was very busy, which is true, and that I loved her. By the way she retold it, she had it in her head that she was constantly calling me and texting me, but I was just straight up ignoring. And Opie clarifies some details on the mother calling in to fly in to help her at home. Opie says, when I found out when I was pregnant, we knew my husband would be deployed when I was due. So early in my pregnancy, I spoke with my mom and asked her if she would be able to come and help. She agreed to come and we offered to pay for the ticket. Then last month, I called her to have a conversation that was focusing on what ways I needed help since I had not really had a talk with her about that. And I just made those comments in passing. Okay. Update 5 months later.
Oh, I love when we have a saga that just spans multiple months.
Dude.
And this is post-pop.
This is
post-pop. Baby's out.
If this baby hasn't been born yet, then they are me.
They are you.
Because they were baking in there for 12, 13, 14, 15 months. That's literally the only way this baby's not out. This is an update I didn't think would actually happen, but here we are.
Here we are.
Just a warning, I'm raging internally, so this might not be written well. First and foremost, the birth went well. My mother-in-law was incredibly helpful and supportive. The months leading up to me giving birth, the relationship I had with my mother was very surface level. I did not reach out as frequently. Things got a bit tense about a week prior to me giving birth due to other familial issues. My mother did not call or text me the 2 weeks leading up to my due date. However, the icing on the cake was my father asking if I was having a boy or a girl. My husband and I told both of them already last summer, and the distance led me to telling them that I had my son the next afternoon. Now, that decision brought me a lot of peace. Fast forward to 2 weeks ago, I called my mother to chat, not about anything serious, just a quick check-in. The phone call threw me off because she apologized to me. Apologies. She said, I miss you. Our relationship is different, and I don't know how to fix it because I feel like I don't have the opportunity to. I should have handled that talk a lot differently, and I want to come and help you.
Are we seeing some growth?
Whoa. Somebody please clip that.
We're seeing growth, and we love to see it.
I don't know if it was my postpartum hormones, but against my better judgment, I offered to have her come over for 6 days. So honestly, my first red flag should have been her not fighting back and saying that she would pay her own way. But oh well. I figured this visit would benefit me in the sense that I could at least try to be less resentful, and I could at least say that I tried. She arrived Saturday night, and the first full day was Sunday. I spent a lot of that day feeling agitated because the second I would lay my son down in his bassinet, go do something, she would pick him up. It became quite clear to me that my decision to have my mother-in-law come and help me was the correct one. That evening, I told her that she cannot pick up my son every single time he cries because once she leaves, I physically am not able to do that for him. I told her that I'm essentially a single parent until the foreseeable future. She sheepishly apologized and said she wasn't thinking about after she wasn't going to be there, which I think is fair. But this stay has been a crap show. I didn't trust her watching him alone for long periods of time because I caught her starting to fall asleep on the couch while holding my baby literally 30 minutes after she told me I could go nap. Thank God I was in the kitchen prepping dinner and I caught it, her holding the baby while sleeping. She did not offer to make meals. She made a comment about eating dinner at 8 p.m. because she isn't used to it like me. I had to tell her that eating dinner at 8 p.m. is not a choice. I told her that she didn't offer to step in and start dinner while I was doing laundry, FaceTiming my husband in between his watches, or nursing my son. What was she doing? Basking in the Florida sun on my patio with the dogs while scrolling on her dang phone. Stop scrolling TikToks, Mom. It's baby time.
No, she's learning. She's on baby talk. She's learning how do you hold a baby without falling asleep?
Yeah, while falling asleep. Gotta love it. The real reason I'm rage typing all of this isn't even because of her lack of help. It is her lack of emotional support. Today, I was told that my husband's deployment has been extended. I was sobbing. What did Mother do? She said, I'm sorry. I haven't gotten a single hug from her. I got this news 4 hours ago. What I did get was her telling me to go take a shower, which was really code for go shower so I can cuddle with the baby because you won't be able to. I feel so angry, disappointed, and ashamed that I spent that money on her coming out here. I guess it's not a total loss because this stay has helped me not put on rose-colored glasses like I normally do when it comes to her.
Which is good. I mean, take off those rose-colored glasses, see her for who she actually is, and then treat her accordingly. Like, you don't want your baby to be around someone that has baby butter hands when they fall asleep and you drop your baby on their little baby head.
I drop her off in a few hours as planned. Thank goodness. For those saying to never pay her way again, I absolutely 1000% no, that's not going to happen. I did it because she was always making comments about being single income and having to pinch money. I felt bad despite my husband and I also being a single income family. However, I feel tricked because while she was here, it was revealed that my parents are going to Vegas next weekend. The whole stay has left me feeling like a big idiot who was tricked. I'm so glad she is gone first thing in the morning. And there are some relevant comments. Commenter number 1 says, I'm so sorry that your husband's deployment was extended and I'm sending you hugs. Do you know any of the other spouses of your husband's unit or local military? I've heard that can be a great support system. Very smart, especially if they've been through having kids while their spouse was deployed. I wish I could give you more than more words to help. You're being hit with so many struggles and emotions while your body just went through major trauma. Even a good birth is trauma for your body. It's okay to be an emotional mess. To anyone telling you different is lying. Take support wherever you can get it, and don't be afraid to ask because at worst, you'll get a no, and at best, you'll get that support. Reach out to your mother-in-law whenever you can, and consider sending your mom home early if she's still there. OP responds, she leaves tomorrow morning, thankfully. Then my mother-in-law flies in Sunday, so I'll get a real break soon. And then commenter number 1 replies to that, I'm so relieved for you. I don't know if you have considered it, but individual counseling could help you process. Just vent all of this and maybe help you establish boundaries that benefit you while minimizing the guilt you feel, especially regarding your mom. She gave birth to you, but that doesn't mean that you owe her peace.
Yeah, I think something we've seen in Reddit a lot. It's like just a family member earns their place in your life just like anyone else.
Yes.
And if they continually are disrupting your peace, then you can put a little distance there.
Like just because they're a family doesn't give them an infinite pass to just like bulldoze your boundaries. So Opie responds, I have a follow-up appointment in 2 weeks. I go bi-weekly, but sprinkle in extra sessions as needed since TRICARE thankfully doesn't have a limit and will pay for as many sessions as needed. And Opie responds to a comment about her being resentful towards her mother because OP wasn't getting any support as she was that wasn't getting any of the support she was hoping for. OP says, yes, I am resentful towards her. I'm trying to work through it. It's hard. She's not a bit selfish. She is selfish. It's not just this. It's a mountain of things from childhood as well as this period of my life. I wasn't passive aggressive regarding that dinner. I spoke with her about her not helping or offering to help at the end of the night after she made 3 passive aggressive comments about eating so late when she never vocalized that she was hungry sooner. Time tends to go by very quickly when you're judging a household and a newborn alone, and unfortunately that means eating later than I would like to. However, she's perfectly able-bodied, and she could have told me she was hungry, and I would have either sent her the recipe I was using or managed my time a bit better. Or, I mean, this is seemingly a, 50, 60, 70-year-old woman. Does she not possess the tools
to make her own food?
To procure something to eat?
I don't know if those teeth work, and blending stuff is hard.
Opie says she rarely calls and texts me. I do most of the reaching out for our relationship. If she does reach out first, it's maybe once every few weeks. She did not go out of her way to call me or apologize. Also, she is a hugger. She hugs people all the time. I just can't fathom my child sobbing on the couch while I laughing at a movie that is playing in the background while they get awful news pretending that everything is okay. That's not a great sight to imagine. This trip has made me accept that while she'll never be able to fulfill the emotional wants and needs I wish she could give me. And that is the end of the story.
Oh, it's hard to distance yourself from a parent. You could like we saw these red flags from the beginning, but it's just like it takes a while. It takes years potentially of someone being terrible to you for you to real because it's like we talk about the reality distortion field of relationships, romantic relationships a lot. And usually, those are later in life. Yes. And you also have reality distortion fields of your family. Like they can just as easily say, oh, like this is the love you deserve and this is the love you should expect. And it takes maybe someone showing you differently to understand that you are in the reality distortion field and this is not what you need to accept. And so I think that's why it can take so long and be so painful to eventually put up those boundaries because you didn't even know you needed those boundaries in the first place. Yeah.
And it's such a delicate balancing act because it's like, I feel like I can see OP trying to be empathetic and trying to, especially in the beginning of the story, but it's like at the end of the day, you don't want to just let someone run over your boundaries. So yeah, it's a hard balancing act, especially coming from a place where they weren't there to begin with.
Exactly. But I think OP, made the right decision and has made a bunch of good decisions.
Indeed, Amundo.
Indeed, my deed.